wrestling fans, VHS fans, and welcome to NDT CoLlEcTs WrAsSLiN Plus VHS.
The following segment has been brought to you by NDT CoLlEcTs WrAsSLiN Plus VHS.
Wrestling fans, VHS fans, today, guess what we got going on? Yes, we got another package. Let's dig right in and let's see what we got. Let's open this bad boy up. See what we got going on. If I ain't mistaken, I think I ordered this and it's been a while back. I mean, it's been a long way back. I ordered it and I didn't think I was going to get it through a Facebook group member, and it never showed up, and it said in the tracking was lost, and it said they couldn't find it. And today it just shows right up, and that's been almost a month ago that I lost it. So here it is. I guess I received it finally. We'll start out and see what this one is. It is VHS. Yes. We have Clean Slate. Clean Slate with Danny Carvey. Clean Slate. Oh, don't have to drop it and break it already. Clean Slate. Here. Oh, I'll put it behind me here. Yeah, okay. Next up, we got A Cool Dry Place with Vince Vaughn. A Cool Dry Place. Let's turn that around here. Just light a little bit there. Maybe that'll work. Let's see. Next up, we have K911 with James Belushi. K911 with James Belushi. Next up, we got She's Having a Baby with Kevin Bacon. She's Having a Baby. Next up, we got Major League, Back to the Minors. Major League, Back to the Minors. Next up, we got Dwayne Johnson in Walking Tall. Walking Tall with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Next up, we got Money Talks. Money Talks with Charlie Sheen and Chris Tucker. Money Talks. Next up, we got a Sylvester Stallone film here in Lock Up. Lock Up. Next up, we have Michael J. Fox in Greedy. Greedy. Next up, we got Dan Aykroyd in Sneakers. Sneakers. Next up, we got Switching Channels with Burt Reynolds. Switching Channels. That's a different artwork than I expected, but I think that's the TriStar release. Next up, we have The Telephone. The Telephone with Whoopi Goldberg. The Telephone. if I can just get it back in the box. It's old box. We'll go back in there. That'll probably never get pulled out again. That's hard to do. The telephone. Next up, I think I already have this. I think I got it for free a while back, or the other day, in my latest video. It is Mumford with Jason Lee. Mumford. Okay, next up, we have, right out of the case, we have Whoopi Goldberg in, what is it called? Moonlight and Valentino. Moonlight and Valentino. Moonlight and Valentino. Next up, we have, may already have this one already. Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage. Snake Eyes. Next up we have Harlem Nights with Eddie Murphy. Harlem Nights. Red Sanford. There's a few other ones in that. Harlem Nights. Next up we have The Shining. The Shining. The Shining. Yeah, I think it's a different tape than what's actually the box itself. I mean, it's the movie, but it says collection on it. Let's see. Stanley Kubrick's Epic Nightmare. The Shining. Next up we have Winter People with Kurt Russell. Winter People. Kurt Russell. Winter People. Next up we have Unconditional Love with Dan Aykroyd. Unconditional Love with Dan Aykroyd. Next up we have Free Money with Charlie Sheen. Free Money with Charlie Sheen. Next up we have Most Wanted with Keenan Ivory Wayans. Most Wanted. Most Wanted. Next up we have Distant Thunder with Ralph Macchio. Distant Thunder. Next up we have Murder in the First. Murder in the First with Kevin Bacon. Murder in the First. Next up we have an oldie, which is Bottle Rocket. Bottle Rocket with Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson. Bottle Rocket. I think that's their first film ever. Bottle Rocket. Next up we have Boat Trip with Cuban Gooding Jr. Boat Trip. Boat Trip. I can't get into it to see what it looks like. Oh, I got it the wrong way. Next up we have Christopher Lloyd in Baby Geniuses. Baby Geniuses. Next up we have Steve Martin in The Spanish Prisoner. The Spanish Prisoner. Next up, we have a Woody Harrelson in Pimento. That's how you pronounce it? Pimento? Pimento? I'm not sure how you pronounce it, y'all. Next up, we have, and I think I got this the other day. No, I didn't know these was going to come in. So, I was at the one of our thrift stores the other day and picked up Dirty Rotten Scoundrels for 50 cents at one of our local flea markets. I mean, not flea markets, but thrift stores. And here's one that I ordered. It came in now, finally. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. So I have two now. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Let's see what this tape looks like inside again. Two different labels. One's got a label on it, and one's made in with the case itself. So, which one do I keep? There's a 1988. I'll keep this one. The 1988 one that I got at the thrift store. Well, this says the same thing, but it's just written on the cover box itself. That's a double. Next up, we have Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin in Bowfinger. Bowfinger. Next up, we have White Man's Burden with John Travolta. White Man's Burden. White Man's Burden. Next up, we have Racing Stripes. I believe this has got David Spade as one of the voices. He might be the lead actor's voice there. Racing Stripes. Next up, we have Whoopi Goldberg. I think she's in this. Yes, Soap Dish. Soap Dish with Whoopi Goldberg. Next up, we have Burt Reynolds in Heat. Burt Reynolds in Heat. Next up, we have, what do we got? We have Set It Off with Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah and Set It Off. Little Dusty. Must have been an old film. Must have been in the basement. Little Dusty. I don't know if y'all can see that. Little Dusty. But as long as the movie plays, I don't care. Little Dust don't hurt no bun. Set It Off. Queen Latifah. Next up, we have, and it's opened right here at the top, which that's okay. We'll take care of that later. It is A Simple Twist of Fate with Steve Martin. Simple Twist of Fate. Next up, we have Steve Martin also in Roxanne. Roxanne, Steve Martin. And I believe it's a side flipper. It is an oldie side flipper. I like those side flippers. I like the first releases like that. Well, I don't know if this is the first release or not, but it's right up there. Roxanne. Next up, we have one of my favorites as a child or a teenager or whatnot when I watched this. And that is another side flipper. It is Just One of the Guys. Just One of the Guys. Note to our customer. Look at this. It says, note to customer. This must have been a rental. Note to customer. I don't know if y'all read it or not. It says, a note to customer. Lines will roll down your screen before film starts and into opening titles. Rest is A-OK. What about that? Well, at least they let people know, didn't they? It's wild. At all the rentals, I've never seen one of that. That's pretty cool. Lines will roll down your screen during open scene. Well, ain't that special? Just one of the guys. I used to watch it all the time. Now, next up, we have a spider film with John Goodman, Jeff Daniels in Arachnophobia. Arachnophobia. Best spider movies of all time was Arachnophobia. That's just my opinion. Arachnophobia is the best spider movie out there. Next up, we have David Arquette in RPM. RPM. Next up, we have Picture Perfect with Kevin Bacon, I believe. Yes. Kevin Bacon in Picture Perfect. Next, drop them all down, throw them away, delete them. They fell over, people. Don't fall over. Next up, we have a very Brady sequel. Very Brady sequel. Very Brady sequel. I was thinking David Arquette or somebody plays one of those. Anyway, next up we have, I think it's Danny DeVito, yeah. Danny DeVito in Hoffa. Hoffa. Danny DeVito. Next up we have What's Eating Gilbert Grape? What's Eating Gilbert Grape? I think that's what's his name. Who is it? Yeah, Johnny Depp. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Next up, we have Dan Aykroyd in Diamonds. Diamonds with Dan Aykroyd. Next up, we have another Whoopi Goldberg in The Burglar. I guess the name of that, yeah, Burglar. I remember seeing it at the video store quite a bit. I remember the artwork on it. Burglar. Next up, we have Leslie Nielsen in Naked Gun 33 1/3. 33 1/3, Naked Gun. Leslie Nielsen. I always enjoy his films. Everything he's been in. From Creep Show to Naked Gun. All of them. Next up, we have a movie called Fear. Fear. I think Reese Witherspoon's in that. Fear. Next up, we have Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence in Life. Life. Next up, we have Bill Cosby in Ghost Dad. Ghost Dad, Bill Cosby. Drop it. Next up, what is this? We have Tom Hanks in what's that say, y'all? Can't read it. Every Time We Say Goodbye. Every Time We Say Goodbye, Tom Hanks. I ain't seen this. I have not seen this. It's a Tom Hanks movie I have not seen. Can you believe that? Tom Hanks movie that I have not seen. Next up, we got Chris Rock in Head of State. Head of State with Chris Rock. Let's see. Next up, we have Jeff Bridges and Cyber Shepherd in Texaville. Now, the reason I got this was because Randy Quaid also plays in it. Randy Quaid, the reason I got it. Like I said, folks, in my other videos and all the way down through my VHS hauls, if I name one person in that film, even though they're not the lead character, that's the reason I got it. Even though they're not the main star or the lead character, if they have any kind of involvement in it, and I mentioned their name, that's the reason I got it. Randy Quaid's the reason I got that. Randy Quaid. Play It to the Bone. Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson in Play It to the Bone. Next up, we have Brendan Fraser in Dudley Do Right. Dudley Do Right. Brendan Fraser. This is quite a haul, y'all. I'm sorry the video's long, but it is a box full. And when I say it's a box full, it is a box full. Next up, we got Romancing the Stone. Romancing the Stone. It's an old box. Romancing the Stone. Got Danny DeVito in it. Danny DeVito. Romancing the Stone. I'm not sure if I have this now. I think I got Jewel of the Nile. So this is part 1 or part 2. Romancing the Stone. I think it's part 1. I can't remember. Next up, we got Martin Lawrence in A Thin Red Line. Is that what that says? Yeah, A Thin Red Line Between Love and Hate. Martin Lawrence. Next up, we got Club Paradise with Robin Williams, Rick Moranis. Club Paradise, Robin Williams, Rick Moranis. Club Paradise. That's an oldie. I like it. Good movie. Next up, we got 8 Heads in a Double Bag. 8 Heads in a Double Bag with Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci's 8 Heads in a Double Bag. Duffel bag. Next up, we have Daniel Stern, David Wayans, and Dan Aykroyd in Celtic Pride. All 3 I like her. Great movie. Love it. About one of the best basketball films involvement that I like is Celtic Pride. There's another one called Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg. I would have to say Celtic Pride and that one. That's the 2 main ones. Between the 2, Celtic Pride. Next up, we got Wag the Dog. And who else stars in this? I do not remember. Wag the Dog. Somebody else stars in this, folks, that I wanted it for a reason. I just don't remember who. But it is Wag the Dog with, it does got Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman in it. But there is another character involvement in it. I haven't seen this in a while. I have to go back and rewatch it to make sure who I'm talking about. Wag the Dog. Next up, we got With Honors with Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser. With Honors. And I believe that guy right yonder is Joe Pesci. But most of I got it for Brendan Fraser in With Honors. Which I am a fan of Joe Pesci too. Next up, we got a Charlie Sheen in Beyond the Law. Beyond the Law, Charlie Sheen. Next up, we got Eddie Murphy in Daddy Daycare. Daddy Daycare with Eddie Murphy. Next up, we got The Brady Bunch movie, which is part 1. You just seen part 2 just a second ago, called Very Brady Sequel. This is part 1. Very Brady movie. Very Brady movie. I forgot I ordered part 1 with it. Next up, we got National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon Part 1. National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1 with Danny Glover and Emilio Estevez. Emilio Estevez. Next up, we got Robin Williams in Father's Day. Robin Williams. It also has Billy Crystal, but I got it for Robin Williams. Next up, we got Down Periscope. Anybody seen that? Kelsey Grammer's in it, but I did not get it for him. Who did I get it for? It's got to be that guy right there. Looks like Rob Schneider to me, if I can recall it correct. I think Rob is in this. Rob Schneider in Down Periscope. Next up, we got a film. It's got involvement of a few people that I like in this. It's got John Travolta, Danny DeVito, Dwayne Johnson in Be Cool. Be Cool. Next up, we got Soldier with Kurt Russell. Soldier. Next up, we have Johnny Knoxville in Life with Dick. Life with Dick. Johnny Knoxville. Next up, we got Jeff Daniels in Trial and Error. Trial and Error. Jeff Daniels. Trial and Error. Next up, we have Brendan Fraser in The Scout. The Scout with Brendan Fraser. Next up, we have Dwayne Johnson, Sean William Scott in The Rundown. Sean William Scott and Dwayne Johnson in The Rundown. I think that's one of The Rock's great films. One of the best ones he's ever produced or involved in was The Rundown. Also, Walking Tall, I just pulled out just a few minutes ago. Them two is about the best ones I like on everything. I like everything he does about it, but them two was just great. Next up, we have The Three Amigos. Three Amigos with Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, and Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Chevy Chase in The Three Amigos. One of my all-time favorites. I'll watch it a lot. Three Amigos. Last but not least, last of the box, whatever you want to call it. This is about to end our segment, y'all. It is Sylvester Stallone in Over the Top, and that's what I call this box. This box, excuse me. This box itself was over the top with great hauls, great VHSs. I am so proud I got them. It is a great haul, well deserved. Over the Top, Stallone. Now if I can just get the movie out. Yes, Stallone in Over the Top. That ends this segment, folks. We'll catch you on the next segment from NDT CoLlEcTs WrAsSLiN Plus VHS.
This segment was brought to you by NDT CoLlEcTs WrAsSLiN Plus VHS.